Hello, everybody. Thank you to join me on this beautiful evening. Uh, it's welcome to the first Lushna Glamping webinar. I hope it's going to be many more. My name is Peter Lysen, and I'm the chief designer and the director of Lushna Company. You're welcome here in my father's garden. Basically, he worked on it for past 20 years, probably. It's amazing garden, and I don't see it as a design. He's a mechanical engineer. You know, he does everything like really efficient. You know, but at the end, you know, it all falls together. It's amazing experience that he shares with all of us. And what I can see around me is basically years and years of materializing his values and experiences into this garden. And this what hospitality for me is. It's sharing our values and experiences with others. This is the base of hospitality, and this is what I'm going to do today. I'm a designer, so basically I'm not interested in objects. I'm not interested in designs. When I see something that attracts me, basically my first question is, how was this made? You know, what's the reason? What's the purpose? Which problem does this tool or design solves? It doesn't matter if it's a house or it's a bicycle. Basically, everything on this planet is designed, except nature. And that's the reason why we're talking today. I want to share, basically, what are the stories or the reasons behind what Lushna Glamping is today. So I'm gonna try first to explain our story, how we became what we are. And our story started 10 years ago. It didn't start like a startup. It didn't start like a genius idea or something that actually we knew what we are doing or what we are going to do. It started like a project in our office. At the time, we were basically completely different team, working as a classical small architectural office. And we got one competition that we were invited to do one competition in Bled. This is the local touristic destination. And in this competition, we should design the layout of the destination, basically a part of the destination. Just a minute, I have some problems with loading. Sorry, but this should load. Okay, here we continue. And basically our vision from the beginning was how to change perception of people quality of life. And we design and develop simple products, basically natural dwelling units and programs that help basically to people to connect back to the nature. Society as we are, you know, we come from nature, but we distance ourselves basically from nature. And we miss it basically on every level. And I think this is the most obvious from year and year. It's getting more and more obvious. What we were commissioned for actually in the Bled, when I was explaining this to you, it's a kind of upgrade of existing camping. It's not this destination. It's basically that you see in the picture. It's a lovely natural environment. And what they wanted to is upgrade with additional units, which are container dwelling units, which is quite standard upgrade for campings. And it really doesn't fit in nice environments. It appears quite industrial. And we weren't quite happy with just remodeling the facade. We wanted to offer a different experience. They wanted from us to do something special, to do something different, to do something that they would be recognized with. But this was not quite it. You know, just changing the facade of one of the containers and do a layout, even if it's the best on the planet, it was not it. Whatever we do the facade, it's still going to be a container. We knew that, and more we were flipping them around, the less we were happy with the direction we were going in. And then we actually tried to propose something like this. A week after the meeting, we came with this picture, and at the point it was quite weird. Basically, we risked to lose the project. But we were quite excited about idea of presenting something different that has an origin in the space, in the location, and could offer different experience of tourism and hospitality. We knew that we're not going to be able to persuade them with this picture, you know. So we actually proposed also different kind of organization of the location. Basically, we were already discussing the program, how this should be run, how this should be also, what the experience, the complete experience of the user would be in that location. And I have to thank now all the colleagues at the time, and also the owner and the manager of the camping, that they trusted us. We went forward, and we actually did it. You know, we actually did it. We made it, and this was the quite amazing experience. And what we did is basically a contemporary interpretation of the same things, a bit bigger, so it's spacious enough to move in. But the concept is bedroom in nature. The bathrooms were dislocated. Each of the cabins has a private bathroom. And the only feature that this cabin had was one big window. So this was like a portal to the nature. When you close the door, you actually come onto the other side of the experience. We orientated these cabins away from the common spaces to the nature. So basically, there was no way that this could approach. I mean that privacy would be disturbed or anything. And although the experience of the nature is not so amazing at this location, it's a grass basically, but still, you know, it's still more to discover there than on the other side. And what we were surprised, we hoped, but we were surprised, you know, everybody loved it. It's actually in the first season they had like 90% occupancy, and what was even weirder that like 30% of that were local tourists, local people who wanted to experience this in short term over the weekend or longer weekend and so on. And then it went to a second year and to a third year, and I mean the thing was going pretty well. They returned the investment in 3 years. Basically everything was right, and we said, like, look, how would it be if we could apply this kind of logic to other destinations, to other locations, to other clients, you know. And we started basically Lushna out of that. One funny thing also happened in between. The manager of the camping Blade called me one day and said, look, you know, we are featured in London Times. You know, I said, what? You know, no, it's not like, you know, we are featured. We are between 20 best glampings in Europe. I said, glamping? God, what's glamping? You know, this was 2010. You know, I mean, I went and checked on Google it. You know, and it was like, okay, cool. You know, it's actually weird. You know, but still, there's glamorous camping. This is what it is. This is how we call it, and it's rising. You know, it's on the rise. It's more these destinations is popping up. I said, okay, you know, we saw that the market is there. We saw that there is no consolidated, basically, actually company on the market doing this, what we are doing, what we wanted to do. But we also noticed that it's not just cabins, you know. It's not just, there is the way that basically the people get the email, the tourist packages that they have, the additional program that they can experience on the location, all this additional stuff made us think, you know, actually, and when we were in the process, this process was long. It was really long. You know, first we did this, and then they did in the company the marketing, and this was dragging like for a year almost till they get everything together. So there has to be a way how to optimize this process, and we figured out that this happens because there's a lot of people involved in the process. You know, a lot of separate experts, and they go all after another after another. And they all kind of dislike what was done before them, you know, and And then these projects change, and they normally change in the late stage, and it's quite complicated situation. I said, what if we could solve this? Now, what if we gather all the experts so we could do this faster? So this process would be faster. And this is how Lushna was made. Actually, we gathered like 3 partners in the company. One was the architect. I was the architect. And then another colleague of mine who we organized drum and bass parties together and stuff like that. He's deeply in the marketing at the time. He was like in mobile industry and mobile phones and communication. And then was another architect who specialized in bioclimatic constructions. He's from Spain, basically. And we said, okay, if we invite on the project also some hospitality experts and stuff, I think we could do it. We have enough, basically, power that actually we could try and push this forward. Of course, it took years till this group consolidated and we started running. But basically what we did is just combined everything we knew, and first what we developed is actually a different way of what the first design of ours basically was not physical, was not object, was design of a different kind of development. So something that actually at the end resulted that we could do basically, we could offer the very fast and easy support for business development that would actually result in lower costs. It would be done faster. So this means that every project would come to the market much faster, better return on investment, and also lower investment risks. So we figured out that all of these stages that goes through, if we do it on all minimal three levels at the same time, and we start with all the experts in the start, basically, when actually the cost of changing idea or concept or design is really, really cheap, and fast, we could change this. We could actually provide our customers with something actually that was missing at the time on the market. At the same time, we actually started to develop additional, we were checking the market. We were checking the market, what's going on, how could we adapt. We saw that just this triangle is not basically the right thing for every location, not by typology, not by capacity for different basically users or destinations. And we started to designing a different kind of products that were still unique, more universal, that would basically, the goal was to really focus on that window in all our design. We designed what we call today bedrooms in nature, and that are fast to assemble basically, and support our customers as much as possible. What we said, we want to be sustainable, we want to be ecological, we want to build with wood only, as least possible paint, no plastic, 4 seasons definitely, because this is the only rational thing to do. And they have no lasting impact on the environment. So how do we do foundations? How do we actually bring it? How do we produce it? What's the whole cycle of how these structures are going to age and everything? And we took in account the whole sustainability, not just basically material or use. And then after a time, we figured out that the only way to control the quality and the time of the production, if you want to do that, we have to do it ourselves. We started small. We didn't have an intention to build I have a big factory, I don't know, 10 employees or anything like that. We just said, okay, for this project, we try it, we see how it's going to go. And this grew actually. So today we have a factory that can produce up to 50 units, more or less, per year. And 3 years later, we had basically 15 destinations globally, worldwide, equipped with our cabins. And we are now present on basically not all of European markets, but I don't know, Italy, Hungary, Croatia, Slovenia, England, Netherlands, not Finland yet, unluckily, in Scandinavia, we didn't get there yet. And United States, which was interesting. We always got a lot of interest from United States, and we already built 3 destinations in the United States until now, and now we're building the 4th. and hopefully also more of them. This is one of our latest project here in Slovenia, Maribor. It's called Chocolate Village. We didn't do the whole thing here. We just adapted the designs of the cabins to the investors' basically identity. He's a chocolate maker, so Chocolate Village, black houses. The question that arises, the first thing that we discovered, and also probably bothers all of us, and it bothers still every day, basically, we deal with what actually is glamping. So it's glamorous camping, but basically we learned that through years, and it doesn't have to do much with camping. If you would look how they how the glampings function, it's more of a dispersed hotel, the hotel dispersed in nature. So, but it's a mix between hotel and camping. So it should have like commodities and it should be cozy like a hotel, should have services like a hotel. You could get breakfast, you could get basically, I don't know, common spaces. You can enjoy basically your time like you're enjoying it in the hotel. But hotels are closed. They're not connected to environment. Not all of them, nature hotels are different, but majority of hotels are closed structures with a focus on interior design. And then you have camping on the other side, which basically is a tent that you put in the nature, and you enjoy the view, hopefully, if you're not in the peak of the season, if one of the most overcrowded campings, and the connection with nature. You know, you can feel the rain falling on your tents. You can feel the wind. You can feel also the cold and the heat and the mud and all the bad things that come with it. But with this combination, you avoid the bad things and you take the good things and you assemble into something that today is called glamping. So this is how we understand glamping. There's many interpretations of glamping, probably as many interpretations as there are locations, but this is what glamping means for us. So taking the best of the both worlds and combining into something new. Glamping is also quite interesting market. Probably that's why it exists and it's why it's trending. It's not enough that there is just a demand. It has to be also sustainable on a business level. This is actually the interest of two groups. If you compare them, for instance, hotels, they go more or less the same. The hospitality business in general is growing like 2% per year. But glamping grows like 10 to 15. You know, depends basically in which country. In some countries there's more popular, in some countries there's less popular, but it goes really, really much faster. So you have a strange combination, an interesting combination, something that it's positioned in very strong market because it never really dips, you know, like really heavily instead of war or pandemia like we had it now. And it grows fast. It grows faster. And even in cases of pandemia, if we're talking of the event that we had lately, you can see in the two graphs that I have here, you know, that basically the glamping didn't drop a lot. The interest for glamping didn't drop a lot. And what is even more interesting, it picked up really fast. And that is quite rational explanation why. Because basically glamping is connected to natural experience. And this is the experience that was lacking the most in the time of pandemic. This was the experience that we craved the most. We just wanted to go out. We just wanted to be in the parks. You know, this was in general. You know, parks were full immediately when quarantine was released or was not so strict. You know, here in Slovenia it was not strict at all. But I never saw so many people using the parks like now. I never saw so many people going on a bicycle or into the mountains. So this was really something that was starting to be even more appreciated in this time. It's not going to be so dramatic in the future, but yes, it's going to rise definitely. You know, we see a lot of trends coming 1 year, boom, there is this, and then is the other, and then is the third one. But this trend, glamping, called glamping, or however, dispersed hotel, nature hotel, whatever the typologies or the market is going to be connected to the outdoors and the nature is definitely going to grow. And there is a reason why, because we live in the society when our everyday life is super stressful. You know, we have to be efficient. We have to be fast. We have to be beautiful. You know, we have to be relentless. Relentless. We have to be the best on all the levels possible. So we are basically overburdened. We are burning out every day. And when we go to for a release, you know, the nature is a cure for basically overloading, for this stressful life that we have. And of course, the contemporary human being is, it's, if they go to, you know, I always joke that if you send I don't know, a human being that whole his life lived in town to lay in the grass, you know, probably he's gonna get 1 or 2 allergies immediately. We are not adapted anymore. You know? We cannot go, just people cannot just go walking in the forest. They're gonna get lost, you know, seriously lost. So glamping is basically kind of a tool to connect. It has a potential of connecting the human beings to nature with more or in more organized way, more safe way, or in more comfortable way, basically at the end. So what are people searching now, more or less, is basically to get connected to this different experience. First, you have to disconnect. You have to leave everything behind. It's hard to disconnect in the city with your phone next to you. I'm not talking about connectionless destinations or whatever, but it's just that your focus goes on something else. And in majority of the things, our focus goes on the things that are not right next to us. You know? So this is really important, and this is what people miss. And when they have an opportunity, they figure out that this is something they really missed, and they want to use it. So this is one thing, definitely. And the other thing that it's also actually it's experience, to have a new experiences, to have a different experience that you can have in everyday life, and in a comfortable way. But this experience and comfort are not upgrades actually of our everyday life. You have to downgrade it. This is the interesting thing. You have to downgrade it so these simple things come to expression. You have to downgrade it that you can see that a simple fire, a nice evening next to it with no special music or no special features, is something that is inspiring, something that fills us up with joy. And this is something that is interesting, you know, and also the comfort, you know, it's the comfort is more of a not a super cushion or a super equipped terrace or I don't know, 10 kind of drinks, exotic drinks you can order. It's more about basically not to be bothered, not to have a hardcore schedule that you have every day, not to have basically obligations or that everything goes seamlessly. So it has to be simple. You know, this is the comfort of today. This is the new comfort. Then it's also engagement. You know, we became detached. You know, children play growing the plants on the iPad. You know, and they make the fires on the iPad. But a lot of them, they never encountered the real fire or put down the real plants. But these are not just the children. You know, even if we did this when we were children, we are not doing this in everyday life. So this engagement to simple things, to taste, to touch, to smell, you know, it's something that is becoming rare. It's something that is becoming glamorous, basically. And that's why we say that the most glamour thing about glamping is this engagement, you know, engagement with nature, engagement with people next to you, the closest one, engagement with simple good food. Engagement with all your senses into your environment. And for this, you have to remove, not add when you're designing. You have to remove everything that could disturb that. So this is one thing. And then privacy plus socializing. This is a funny combination, but as people now, we are not in control of our privacy anymore. And I'm not talking about social media, and I'm not talking about affairs, and I'm not talking about these things. We have to behave to we have to adapt to a certain social code every day. That is not ours. Some people are lucky and they have this kind of life, but not a lot of them. So in these cases, we should enable people to dictate their own privacy. So when they want to be private, they have a chance to be private. And when they want to socialize, they have to have a chance to do that too, you know, but they decide how much, when, and how. So if you actually are, if they have this chance, this is another plus that it's interesting, and that's why actually people also love to go to the glampings. And then the last, not the least, is recharge and transformate. Of course, you escape. The majority of the glamping destinations are occupied like for 3 or 4 or 2 days prolonged weekends, because people escape for a short time to basically recharge, to get the energy, to return back to a fight that they are leading every day, to get the power to recognize, to get your head back, basically to be able to think clearer, to be able to respond normal, to not to get annoyed every time that the phone rings or the mail jumps up. So this definitely transforms us, and also the transformation in a way that we get in the contact with some values in space that we recognize them, and maybe bit by bit take them and implement them in our everyday life. So the power of glamping as it is, or any other natural hotels or co-natural hospitality, if you want, it's much bigger than actually we realize. So this is the thing actually, and that's why this market is growing. That's why I predict it's gonna grow, and it's not gonna stop so fast. It's not just one thing that it's gonna go away. So investing, it's quite safe. So glamping business model, this is another thing, you know, it's not just attraction on the market, you know. I think the trend wouldn't grow if there wouldn't be a sustainable and quite profiting business model behind them. And it's actually quite simple, you know. It's basically, you can run the glamping destinations on the revenue of a 4 or even 5-star hotel with half of the investment you would invest in the 5-star hotel or 4-star hotel. Not to talk about that experience is much better at the end, the experience that you don't have to design, don't have to pay for, and don't have to maintain. It's called nature, you know. So this is the thing, you know. This is why I think this business model is very interesting, and this is also why I think this market is thriving. Of course, if we go now, we can jump forward to the typologies. You know, there's all kinds of typologies, and this is probably the most recognizable part of identity of the destinations. You have from pods, from to tree houses, to houses, to all kinds. Basically, you can stick glamping to almost everything, and in my opinion, there is no problem as long as it gives you what we were discussing before. So some contact with nature and a service on the level that your contact with nature is not bothered. It's seamless. So there's no limit to the typology you want to implement. There are 3 main groups of typologies, in my opinion. Tents, all kinds of tents. Cabins, all kinds of cabins, on the trees, under the ground, on the water, you name it, but they are still cabins more or less. And mobile homes. So, or are they dwelling containers, or are they mobile homes, or they are trailers, or you name it. There is a lot of in this group also. We in Lushna, we decided for cabins. You're gonna notice that one of our cabins is a tent. This was a test. This was how we tried actually to do something at the time for the market of concerts, of festivals, and we sold quite some to them. But the main decision was actually to go forward on the product line with the cabins. And these are reasons why. Tents, you know, they're nice, you know, they're cheap comparing to other things. They can be set up really fast, but, you know, it's really limited season, you know, especially in the middle climate zone. It's like 2-3 months maximum. You know, it's like they can be nice, they can be even heated, they can be, you know, equipped super nice, but it's already the problem of perception. You know, it's really hard to get your girlfriend into a tent in October. You know, so this is something that is not, even if it's heated and organized. The second thing, you know, longevity is not really long. You know, in 2 years, 1 to 2 years, they're gonna get ugly. In 3 years, you're gonna have to change the canvas. And also, we had the same experience with that. And it's also, if it's really moisture environment, it's even worse. If they are under trees, they're gonna get ugly. You know, and this is not something it's likely accepted not by investors or customers. So they don't really have a long period of use. Overheating, not just heating, overheating is terrible. You can partially solve it with the double roofs and so on, but then they also the price rises. If you want to be more sustainable, you have to use artificial materials. Majority of them, they are not built out. The canvas is not cotton, and really low privacy level. If you actually, you can hear everything from your neighbor. So this is the problem. And there are mobile homes. They're functionally okay. They're great. They are built also for 4 seasons. If you heat them well, normally they are really not isolated well. And what bothers me the most, it's pure plastic. Sometimes you're gonna see maybe on the facade they put some wood for the design, but it's pure plastic. It's really not a sustainable building. And the other thing, the plastic gets really ugly with years. In 10 years, majority of the destinations of big campings, they change the mobile homes every 10 years maximum, 7 to 10 years. They have to change them. They have to rotate them. What is other thing that we didn't like about basically this type of homes, and also some majority of the cabins is like done like this. It's a simulation of home. It's a simulation of basically your own home environment, and you don't want that, because if the environment is the same, you behave the same. Basically, the wife cooks, the husband watches TV, the children are playing with iPods. Basically, the social environment stays the same, so also the experience stays the same. So this is the problem we have with this kind of, and they're really small. It's the same as you have, but everything is less practical. So this is one thing. Of course, they can be under AC. They are 4 seasons, but for both tents and mobile homes, you need like general redefining of the destination. You have to level the floor, and this is also really, really unsustainable. So that's why we decided for cabins. It's basically natural materials, completely sustainable. We build them on ground screws, so there's no leveling needed. There can be in steep terrain, on flat terrain. Actually the diverse terrains are much better, much nicer for the development of destinations. There's really almost no maintenance. In 10 years here in my first location, this year they had to change few boards because they were old, but facade can last 10 years without any painting, without any problem, because we use good materials. Actually isolated, heavily isolated, with also like wood insulation. So actually, this is the things why we decided, and they are aging gracefully. Actually, we are asked many times if we can we can design the floor or the walls like they would be old already, and we just tell them, look, just wait a few years, and this is going to happen. And these are the reasons actually why we decided to go in this direction, and we also continue and probably will continue to do that. Now, where and how to start when you start a new destination? We discussed topologies, we discussed the market. Where to start? You start everything with a foundation. And in our experiences, these foundations with the design of the destinations, in the process of the design of the destinations, are always neglected. The people, they just want to jump over this concept, period, but this is the most important period. You're going to define everything. This is like a genome for the destination. It's your spine cord, and everything is going to be decided later upon that. If you don't have it, you're just going to wander, and it's really important that you take your time, you research, you analyze, you test, you explore different options, and converge at the end. You choose one way of communication, one way of one story, one design, one thing actually that you think is the best for the situation. You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna be wrong for sure. In the process, you're gonna change this concept a bit. You're gonna bend it to the situations when you come to it. But without it, you're gonna be lost. It's not a problem even to be lost. serendipity brings us really interesting things. The problem is it's going to take long and it's going to be expensive, because every change after the concept basically period of the project is really, really expensive. The further into the project you are, the more expensive the changes are. And this concept is going to serve you from basically defining what's the capacity of your destination going to be, or how you're going to communicate with your customers, what tools you're going to use, down to the what color of the curtains you're going to choose. Your decisions are going to be much faster, much more efficient, cheaper at the end. So this is really, I really suggest that you take your time and you build the proper foundations. So, like I said, we developed this process, and all of the parts of the process, they're gonna always assemble, or you're on the level of concept development or implementation at the end. You're always gonna talk in generally at least about three things: your identity, so-called story, that's going to influence how you're going to develop program, or better said, you're going to develop the program and the way you're going to offer your identity to your customers, basically, on top of your identity. And then you're going to decide or design the infrastructure that's going to support your program and your identity. And only if this is in sync, this basically product that you're going to come up with at the end is going to be efficient, not just on financial level, also on the experience level. So this is the thing, this is the general view on this. So for today, this is approximately something I wanted to share, but I would give you basically some food for thought, so-called, so until next time, or in general, how you should start. First, what you do, this is true. It sounds like a cliche, but when you evaluate your site's potential, it's location, 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 and probably 10 times more location. But three things in location is important. First of all is geolocation. You should be somewhere in vicinity of your customers. Hour or two drive from a big city, or hour drive from the airport. Or, this is the third option, in already or close to already established hospitality location. These are important things. You can still have the amazing destination somewhere in the middle of the nowhere, but you have to know that it's going to be hard to drag the people there. And then basically the other thing is natural potentials. If it's rock, steep, okay, it's cool, it's nice, maybe it has nice views, but you're going to spend a fortune to put your cabins there, or organize any other program. If it's too flat, it's boring. It's nice to have a water. It's not a problem if you don't, and stuff like this. And the third one is legal limitations. Really check into those three before you start anything else. Legal limitations can make a nightmare out of the project. If you have two destinations, who are approximately there by all the other criteria, and even if this one with legal limitations, with higher limitations is a bit better, don't go for it. You evaluate actually what are your potentials before you start. And then also you should select how you want to run it. What's going to be your business model based on. You can run it as a hobby. You can do the lifestyle investment. You want to change the way you live. You want to run that small destinations and just go around and talk with people and actually share something you like. You can go to sustainable long-term investment, something that you're going to do for business. You want to make money, but it doesn't have to sell in 2 to 3 years or 5 years. Of course, this is an exit investment, and it's always an option also of upgrade investment. So you already have the destinations. You want to offer some additional experience to the people, or you want to get some attraction on market with a different product. This is also the way. But of course, all inside of your financial capacity, which you have to be also quite clear at the beginning. After this, you can come to us, you can come to any other similar company and say, look, this is what I have, this is what I would like to do, let's do it, or you can even do it yourself. So this is what I would like to share for today. The webinars will follow. We will definitely do at least 2 of them, one on basically your specific story and offer, how to discover basically your unique story, how to emphasize your potentials of your existing identity, or how to generate a new identity according to existing identity, how you communicate, how you formulate it actually, and how you set up the appropriate programs, how you're going to share it, how you're going to sell it, basically, this story that you're going to put together. This is one webinar that hopefully we're going to do soon. And then another one is how to build sustainable destination, basically how to design this sustainable destination on the level for your guests, basically, for your business model, and also for the planet. So this is it for today. Thank you for listening. I hope it was interesting. I could talk about these topics and glamping in general for 2 days probably. You can always contact us on info@lashna.com and join us in future webinars. Now I'm gonna check if it's okay. I'm gonna just do this. Oops, here I am back. Sorry. Now I'm just gonna check if there's any questions, and I can answer some of them right now. Sanitary facilities. Just gonna go from top down. There was a lot of talk. There's always a lot of talk of infrastructure. Depends on your guests. If you have guests who are willing to basically use the ecological toilets, that's it. But in our experiences, basically, we all love the idea of ecological toilets. But when we have to use them, it's a bit awkward. There are possibilities between totally biodegradable systems and actually classical systems. You can just accumulate all of the sewage to one system and then purify the wastewaters. Any other questions? Basically, this is zoning. Yeah, this is the thing I was talking before. There's no way to get around zoning, unluckily. And also the most beautiful destinations normally are the ones who are where there's you have no permission to build. So zoning, it's a problem that we always deal with. You have to explore your options. Basically, you shouldn't be stuck with one destination. If you want to do something, just search for the best destination where there is already something built on, or the zoning change is possible. Normally, at least in environments when we work, this can take year, 2, even 3, but sometimes it's worth investing in it, because you have to know when you're going to change the zoning of your land. Even if you don't build anything on it, the rise of the land is going to rise dramatically. So this is on zoning. No, land permissions, like I said, there are some, depends on the country also, zoning, in different countries is different, but normally with some of our models, for instance, in Europe, we fall into a less demanding object. You normally still need a building permit, but it's not like a building permit for a hotel, it's simpler. How much money you have to consider to build glamping? How many 2-people cabins you recommend to start? In hospitality in general, we were doing a lot of these models, financial models to come up with optimal solution, and we came up to 20 cabins, financially optimal. 20 cabins, so 40 people. And we figured out that this is like the general rule in hospitality. And there is a reason why. Because or you're running 10 cabins or you're running 20 cabins, your investment in marketing, sales, maintenance, management is going to be the same. Just the revenue is going to be higher. So the 20 cabins for 2 people are they're the optimal size, but you don't have to start with 20 cabins. You can start with less. If you're doing greenfield investment, if you're going just to adaptation, so for instance, you want to just upgrade your existing hotel or motel, this story is different. Of course, you can also run smaller destination, but you're probably not gonna get your ROI, so return on investment, in 3 to 4 years, and you're probably not gonna have a super stellar salary. So it's possible also with less, but it's not financially efficient. So I hope I answered. We're gonna do the full webinar on basically identity, like I said. Yeah, this was the question also. You can write us for the price list. We can send you the price lists, or also our menu for the concept development support. So this, you just write us an email like on info@lashma.com and you're gonna get minimal order. We are still small production. You can order one. Just feasibilities then for US, for instance, to ship one cabin sometimes is not quite feasible, so we combine it or with other orders, or you order more. Marketing strategy after identity is created. This would be better question for our marketing guy, for Jaka. But as much as I know, actually the concept already includes marketing strategy. So basically it's part of the identity. So when you're developing the identity, you should already think about how you're going to communicate it. We are based in Slovenia. This is basically halfway. This is the easiest to explain. Halfway from Venice to Vienna. Now this is in the middle, exactly in the middle. But we ship basically worldwide. All our structures are adapted for containers, the shipment containers, and we ship worldwide. And also assemble. Yes. Do you deliver to Canada? Yes, we can. We can. And for the estimates of or for the office for the shipments, you can contact us, like I said, on the email, and you will get. We will reply. Like I said, actually, the shipments are different. To also depends how do we ship, or we ship in the container, or we ship separately, and this is it. Wet climates. How wet? These are the facade woods, which are actually outside. It's large, so basically, or cedar would be American equivalent to this, and it lasts for 10 years in moisture environments, quite okay. We can change also the facades for different identities and different environments. So that's it. Thank you everybody for attending and asking questions. And I hope to see you soon. Okay. Have a nice evening. Bye.